She is Bhakti Mukti Pradayini, the mother of us all. Worship her, and she will answer your cries, for no mother can forsake her own children. Cries of Jai Jai He Mahishasur Mardini rang out as all the disciples in the ashram who had gathered to listen to this unplanned discourse now prostrated themselves before the sage. Energized by the sadhu's teachings, the two sadhaks began their sadhana with a resolute mind. They sincerely nurtured the seed of bhakti that had been planted in them so gently and with such expertise by their guru. Each day they meditated on Maa Durga with immense concentration. Their jap and dhyan was supplemented by listening to Devi Maa's katha to awaken the ras of bhakti in their hearts. 2 years passed, and the strength of their tapasya grew steadily until one night, Devi Bhagavati appeared in their dreams. She was dressed in the finest crimson, with divine ornaments adorning her radiant body. Spurred on by this vision, they intensified their sadhana, spending yet another year in austere meditation near their guru's ashram. Bolo Jagan Mata Ki Jai. But although they had expected more such divine visions and unearthly experiences, none happened. They grew increasingly desperate because neither had a true darshan of Maa Jagdamba after 3 years of intense penance. They dug a triangular yagna kunda near a cave and began their final fire offering. Their minds were now set on Maa with determination they did not know existed in them. In that moment, their thoughts of other desires were gone. Surat forgot his lost kingdom and Samadhi let go of his beloved family. In unison, they called out to Maa as the final havan began. Ing, Ring, Kling, Chamundai, Viche. Ing, Ring, Kling, Chamundai, Viche. When they paused to take a breath, the cave walls would echo. In that silence, one could hear the unuttered yet audible pranav resonate through the chambers of that ancient Yagnashala. The flames of the Yagnakund leapt up with each offering. The sacred fire accepted the gifts of these determined souls. Across the dark walls of the cave, the shadows of the two men came alive in a wild yet rapturous dance. The men, however, were perfectly immersed in their yagna. Their bodies shone with an unearthly aura after 3 years of unwavering penance. But their faces were soon covered by a sheen of eager, nervous sweat. They were awaiting something. With each passing moment, some rare and impossible opportunity quietly slipped through their fingers. Finally, their plate of fire offerings was exhausted, and they gave a perplexed look at each other. They did not have to talk. They were students of the same Guru and worshippers of the same divine. United by a bond that ran deeper than blood, their minds spoke. Before their desperate hollow eyes met, they knew. 3 years of calling out to her, but she still hadn't come. The emotion on their faces now underwent a strange twist. Their eyes had a dejected look of resignation, as though they could see through some grand cosmic joke. Yet, their lips grew wide in a childlike, gleeful smile. With their accumulated yogic powers, the two men offered their very life force into that sacred yagna. Suddenly, a distant rumbling drew their attention. Away from the yagna fires, it started softly at first, but soon grew into a deafening roar. This sound condensed into a form that flashed like a lightning, shaking their very bones. The fire in the Yagnakund started to burn brighter than 1,000,000 suns. White flames like massive columns of light towered before the two sadhaks. From those flames, Maa Jagdamba stepped forward. Her hair floated like dark clouds. Her laughter was sweet, like the twinkling of the stars. She raised her hand in a gesture of Abhaya Mudra, immediately calming the two sadhaks who had prostrated before her in fear and awe. When they looked up, she was smiling, her lips redder than the rising sun, curled up in an arch that lifted her cheeks. Her lotus-like eyes danced in elation, seeing her children before her. A beautiful gemstone was set on her right nostril, reflecting the brilliance of 1,000 galaxies. But nothing could compare with her beauty, which radiated strength, compassion, and mercy in equal measure. Everything around her became even more beautiful for simply being in her divine presence. Bolo Sache Darbar ki Jai. My dearest children, long have you called upon me as mother. I am pleased with you, as any mother can be with dutiful, loving children. Ask of me anything you wish, and it shall be yours. She spoke in a voice as deep as the sky and as light as rain. Surat's hair stood on end. He was the first to speak. Devi Ma, I wish to be a king once more. Bless me that I may defeat the invaders who have stolen my kingdom. Granted, spoke the voice that rumbled like the sky before a storm. Your enemies shall be weakened, and you shall rule for 10,000 years. Return to your land. After this birth, you shall be reborn as Suryadeva's son in the Manvantara to come. You shall lead humankind in that time, and you will be called Savarni Manu. And what shall become of you, Samadhi? What would you ask of me, She asked with a hint of playfulness in her voice. The merchant stood before her, hands folded, his manner humble. His tapasya had made him wiser than ever, and he spoke. Devi Ma, bless me with wisdom. Bless me that the bonds of samsara that bind me to this world are loosened. I want moksha, O Mother. The Divine Mother raised her hand over him, blessing him. The very next moment, she was gone. The fire in the Yajna Kund burnt like any normal fire. But the events that unfolded soon after were anything but ordinary. It started with a great commotion outside Rishi Sumedha's hermitage. King Surat's ministers and his army came with royal offerings to seek the king's forgiveness. They begged him to come back and rule what was rightfully his kingdom. They had suffered long and hard under the foreigners and had risen in a popular rebellion. United once more, they easily defeated the offensive and lawless tribes and understood the folly of their ways. Surat went back to his kingdom and ruled for a long time. His reign was marked by great prosperity and stability. Yet, for Samadhi, things unfolded differently. His family did not come to seek his forgiveness. Instead, it was Devi who visited him. In a subtle form, she entered his mind. Ceaseless, eternal bliss pervaded his body as he finally experienced the yogic union he had sought. She had loosened a tide of supreme knowledge in that noble soul, and all his previous attachments disappeared. The lotus of enlightenment unfurled itself in his Sahasrar, and he was one with Parashakti, the source, the cause, and the destination of all beings. Moksha was finally his. In Janmajaya's Yagnashala, a quiet silence enveloped the entranced listeners as the timeless sage paused in his story. Vyasa's words had woven their magic again, transporting his audience to an era long past, awakening memories hidden in the listeners' very bones. King Janmejaya hailed the brilliance of the sage. His mood was now joyous after having listened to Maa's divine story. Although his yagna had been incomplete, the flower of bhakti for Maa Jagdamba had blossomed in his youthful heart. He yearned for her grace, just like Surat and Samadhi had. Sarvamangal Mangalye, Shive Sarvartha Sadhike, Sharanye Triambake Gauri, Narayani Namostate. Glory be to her who is ever auspicious and ever disposed to bring auspiciousness to the lives of her devotees. We surrender to the three-eyed Mother of the universe. May she, whose Gauri, the fair consort of Lord Shiva, always keep us in her grace. Narayani Namostate. Just like the excellent sadhaks of the past in this tale from the Durga Saptashati, you too can now call out to Maa Jagdamba. Perform the sacred Nav Durga Sadhana this Sharad Navratri. Like Surat and Samadhi once did, you too can now chant the 9-lettered mantra. Invoke 9 forms of Divine Mother over the 9 sacred nights. In earlier ages, sadhaks invoked Divine Mother through the choicest and the very best ingredients available to them. Copper plates, sindoor and chandan for inscribing geometric shapes, and the most beautiful flowers and food offerings. Yet, in this day and age, none of this is required. The Sadhana App is here to help your journey towards Mantra Siddhi. Worship Maa with digitally consecrated ingredients for a seamless sadhana experience. Every morning, you can perform a guided yagna of the 9 Devis. All the steps are provided on the Sadhana App. What's more, you can watch the recorded yagnas of Om Swami himself and immerse in the Bhakti Bhav as he narrates the Katha of Maa each day. So go on, connect with the Divine and let go of all your doubts and worries. The app will hold your hand through every step. All you need is a bit of courage in your heart. Until next time, Shri Matre Namaha.